For more insight on the drug, let's turn to Dr. Zaldy Tan. He's a leading specialist in Alzheimer's and memory disorders at Cedars-Sinai Medical Center. Dr. Tan, thank you for being on the program. This clearly is not a cure. It's for patients in the early stages of Alzheimer's. And in clinical trials, as I mentioned, some saw modest improvement. So how much of a breakthrough is this really?
Well, it's not so much of a breakthrough, but an additional therapy option for doctors and patients. As we know, we have lecanemab, which is brand name Leqembi, that's been available for over a year and has been administered to patients throughout the United States, including our medical center. So it is an additional option. And of course, the difference is that this is a monthly infusion instead of a bi-monthly or every 2-week infusion like lecanemab is.
So this means obviously nothing for our seniors who are in advanced stages of Alzheimer's. Are there any treatments on the horizon for them?
You know, most of the clinical trials that are in the pipeline are really targeting people in the very early stage, even preclinical or pre-symptomatic stage, or very mild stage, such as mild cognitive impairment or mild Alzheimer's disease. There's not many drugs that are being developed for late stage, because I think the current thinking is that once the amyloid and the plaques have caused their damage, it's very difficult to reverse it.
Okay, and talk about these IV infusions, which obviously means caregivers have to bring their loved ones to a hospital, to a clinic, to some kind of facility. Many smaller hospitals simply don't have the capability or the resources.
That's absolutely correct. These medication needs to be administered through an intravenous infusion every 2 weeks or every month in the case of donanemab or Kinsula, but it still is quite a bit of commitment for the patient and the caregivers, and also requires serial MRIs because of the risk of cerebral swelling and bleeding exists. So that is quite a bit of commitment for patients, and not to mention that it's very costly treatment.
Yeah, that's the other thing I was going to ask you. Boy, $32,000 a year. I mean, many families simply cannot afford that.
Absolutely, and that's just the cost of the medication. Don't forget that people who are on this medication needs blood tests, needs neurologic examinations, serial MRIs for monitoring for the complications. So it is definitely very costly to the health system.
Dr. Tan, do you believe all these treatments and the breakthroughs or promise that we've seen with these medications the last couple of years, are we perhaps one step closer to a cure for Alzheimer's that affects so many people around the world?
Well, I think this medication and others like it is the beginning and not the end of therapy. My prediction is that in the future, this class of medication will be part of several medications that will target different mechanisms that are involved with Alzheimer's disease. So I don't think this is the end. I think this is a good start to disease modification. And I think if this medication is successful in the market, I think other drug manufacturers will be encouraged to invest in more therapies that at some point can provide a cure or at least stop the disease in its track, especially if it's administered early enough. And
do you think that's something we'll see in our lifetime?
I believe so. There are many medications, different classes, different mechanisms of actions that are being tried. Of course, there's no guarantee that they will be safe or effective, but we could be hopeful that one of these drugs breaks through from the pack and eventually will show that a combination of medications can, in fact, stop the disease, especially if treated early enough.
All right, we'll leave it there. Dr. Tan, thank you very much.